Small businesses begin to fail. Let's have a look. Hello everyone, Florian.Heise here, and welcome to another episode of HeiseSays. Grab your stein of coffee. We're going to have a look at an article from Business Insider shared to me via my Discord server by a viewer. Thank you very much, by the way, for sending it to me. Now, this is interesting. Small businesses are beginning to buckle under the strain of lockdowns as defaults rise. Now, we've looked at this default data in the past, and there's two parts to it that I want to bring up. Let me just bring up this here. We can see personal insolvencies on an individual level. You see that huge dip over time. Now, with all of the government interventions, with them coming to the rescue, personal insolvencies were running a lot lower than normal. Everything was below trend. We've seen the same thing here in Victoria as well, or personal insolvencies, the new ones as well, dipping down. So it's all throughout the country, and it's similar for companies and businesses and across sectors. Now, there is a bit of a heating up in insolvencies in the tourism coast, and we've discussed that in previous videos as well, up in North Queensland, sadly. So businesses are going under, and individuals are having to, declare bankrupt, or businesses are needing to get administration in because they can't meet all their debts and their payments. So we're going to see an increase in number of insolvencies because there's been such a decrease in them. We're going to return back to normal. So that's something we have to understand. There is always going to be some creative destruction in an economy. That's inevitable. People start businesses, they don't, and they don't succeed. It happens, guys. It's just part of it. You take a punt, you put your heart and soul into it. You work really hard, but no one wants you to buy your novelty socks with bananas on them or something. So let's have a look at this article. Australia managed to skirt the worst part of the pandemic last year, but lengthy lockdowns are now beginning to crush small businesses. I'm not at all surprised. It depends on the business you're in. I would feel... I tell you, I'm glad we don't have a retail premises anymore. We used to. I used to have an office with a shop front, and I had all staff there, and I've just scaled it all back because there's a cost associated with that. And for me as an architect, it doesn't make that much difference because I work in the, with business to business, really. That's a lot of my relationships, so it doesn't really matter, to be brutally honest. And, for me, that's a cost, now that I wouldn't even need if we're having to work from home. But could you imagine someone in a cafe or a retail setting where they have to buy all this food and all this stock and all this perishables, and then boom, another lockdown. Boom, another lockdown. That's a new element of risk. That's something you have to factor into your business. I don't know. That'd be stressful. There'd be people there that are probably just at the edge going, stuff it. I've had enough, ready to chuck it in. And I don't think any of us could blame them. Honestly, I do not think any of us can blame them. Months-long lockdowns in New South Wales and Victoria led to business defaults rising in August, the first increase since May 2020, when external administrations would inevitably rise in the coming months, according to Credit Watch. The latest temperature check by the credit reporting agency found the business community is beginning to feel the pressure as receivables fell 12.5%, as trade came to a standstill for some businesses. This is forced to sit and wait out restrictions. New credit inquiries fell almost 20% over the month, taking annual growth into the red for the first time in 12 months. Court cases climbed 35% during the same period. And here's just a personal experience here. When, you take someone to court, or QPAC, or whatever, not QPAC, QCAT here in Australia, and you have to submit the documents to the courthouse. I learned this. When you go to the desk and you start complaining about how long and frustrating the process is, and no wonder people go to the bikies, all of that is recorded even at the reception. Yeah, I learned that. Despite state government support packages, it is obvious that continuing uncertainty about the path out of lockdowns has impacted business confidence, credit to CEO, or Credit Watch CEO Patrick Coughlin said. It is small businesses that will bear the brunt of this, as they have the smallest cash reserves. Unfortunately, some businesses are in a position where they simply won't be able to reopen at all. This is a very concerning scenario for the Australian economy. Now, true. But here's the thing, guys. We're not all equal in this economy. We're not all equal in our government gimmies. There's certain sectors, construction sector, guys, it's just going nuts. It is just going utterly nuts. Talk to anyone in the game how busy they are. And, well, it may be quieting down in certain sectors, but other ones are picking up. It's crazy. So this is where there's a lot of concern over certain parts of the economy, and that people are worried that that'll flow through to housing. People are hoping that'll flow through to housing. They're hoping they'll see a correction. But remember, you've got this whole army of cashed up people in the construction sector, which is about 9% of GDP, who are culturally accustomed to investing in property. While defaults only crept up 0.6%, economist Harley Dale said it was being suppressed. Some businesses were simply ceasing to trade in hotspot LGAs, while others were working with creditors to wait out the current spat of restrictions. Yes, that's what you want to do. You don't want businesses to default. You want them to wait it out and to sort it out and to make it work. Throw in the extra slack provided by the ATO and the banks, which had offered to defer or restructure loans, and the worst is yet to be seen, according to Dale. Now, here's the thing. I agree with him, because we can see that in just insolvencies. We're doing better with businesses going under than during normal times. And we've had, just in case you haven't been watching, guys, we have had our first recession in 28 years. Now, back in the day, when recessions were masculine and manly and weren't soy snowflake recessions like we have now, with all the government padding, businesses went under. So that's just what happens, guys. So the thing is, can they manage to kick the can down the road long enough so you're not going to see a sharp hit to businesses? It'll just be stretched out, and they'll slowly decant out. I mean, that's what people want. You don't want someone defaulting and not paying you. You want someone shutting down and then figuring out how to sort it out with you, even if they pay you in bits over time. We're really in an artificial economy due to the lockdowns. It's not a normal trading environment, he said. For example, there is a dichotomy of activity between those businesses that are able to utilize technologies like click and collect and those that can't. So it's important to view this in that context. The full impact would become more apparent later in the year, he added. So business stress is rising. Separate data from the banking sector shows just how tough some businesses are doing it. Over the last month, the number of business loan deferrals increased nearly sixfold, rising from 600 to 3,500, according to new data from the Australian Banking Association, with owners unable to make their repayments. More than two-thirds of those are now emerging from New South Wales, now in its third month of strict lockdowns. Over the last month, we've seen a substantial rise in business owners putting their hand up for assistance, and I'd encourage anyone else who is feeling the strain to do the same, ABA CEO Anna Bligh has said. Now, what we'll do is I'll just bring up let's have a look at, the organisation that is the Australian Banking Association. So, the ABA, they're a business association lobbying group. It's the trade association of the Australian banking industry. They advocate for strong, competitive and innovative banking industry. Now, you just have to keep that question in mind. Do their interests align with ours, with the general public? Well, sometimes I imagine they do. They don't want housing to fall, and the majority of the public doesn't want housing to fall. So, as lockdowns continue to be extended across cities and states, it is no surprise more strain is being put on businesses and people. With 2 in 3 business owners risking or willing to risk their family home to get extra funding, it places them in a particularly perilous situation should business restrictions stretch on. And this is the issue. I mean, this is just normal with running a business. Many small businesses risk everything. They risk everything to run a business. And it's frustrating. Some people don't understand the challenges of small business because they've never been in it. One thing that I found quite interesting was when I went from a commercial lease to a retail lease. So we had a office space in the back of a warehouse we were leasing directly off the landlord, who was at the front of the building. And I was spending about 40 grand plus a year rent. And I was getting sick of spending that much money. So I went to a little shop front. And I think we went down to 22,000 a year in rent. So it was a decent saving. And it was a smaller footprint, but we had a shop front. And we made it work. It was good. Now, because I was in a retail environment, I had to jump through so many hoops to sign this lease because of the current affair mum and dad crowd putting all these government restrictions on us. It was crazy. They wanted accounting reports, they wanted this, they wanted lawyers' reports, all of this stuff. And I'm going, why? I'm literally cutting my costs in half for my rent. I don't understand. Anyway, that's the fun of these situations in small business. So, more than 57,000 loans are now in hardship across the country, while home loan deferrals almost doubled over the same period to 27,000 nationwide. Almost 70% of those have been approved with New South Wales residents. Now, let's have a look at that in context. That 27,000, hang on, where do I have that data? Here, wait. We have a look here. Okay, 27,000, almost doubled. It sounds bad, but let's look at this, guys. Let's look here at the number of deferrals that we had. Okay, we're talking 27,000. We had over 250 billion in deferral at another time. So I wouldn't be too worried about it. At the same time, inflation in the construction sector is threatening to set off a wave of business failures, with rising costs and lengthy shipping delays, placing further strain on businesses that continue to trade. True. A lot of them are passing on the costs, guys, or they're absorbing the delays. You just have to cop it. Businesses find ways to adjust. It depends who you talk to in the game, guys. As RBA Governor Philip Lowe noted on Tuesday, many are simply trying their utmost to survive at the moment. For some businesses, there is a limit to how long they can wait. So, what do you think, everyone? What do you think? What's the takeaway here? I mean, here's the points. Lengthy lockdowns are beginning to crush small businesses. Defaults began rising in August for the first time since May, while bank loan deferrals increased sixfold. And it's very concerning for the Australian economy. A very concerning scenario. Well, let's have a bit of a talk about it. Now, okay, lockdowns are crushing small businesses. Well, yeah, that's always happening, guys. It's getting tougher and tougher and tougher. Defaults are increasing. Yeah, that's going to happen, but we've seen them decrease significantly. We're about half of where they should be, everyone. So, of course, we're going to have dramatic increases to it. It's going to return to normal. So be wary about the headlines. Oh, I've spoken about this too. We're going to have an impending, default cliff. They're going to skyrocket or fall off the edge because we're going to just go back to normal. And sure, it's a concerning scenario. There's issues with the construction sector. There's delays, but people find ways to work around it. Everyone, projects delayed by a few months. It happens. This is how it manages. Is it stopping the projects though? Is it stopping payment and cash flow? Are people getting into trouble? That's where we'll have to see. If our defaults skyrocket above, if they double or triple where they normally are, then perhaps we should really start to worry. Okay, but if they're returning to normal levels of defaults and businesses going under, is that a concern, or is that just normal business? Remember, this is an insane, crazy clown world. The government's pumped so much money into home builder. It's overheating this construction sector. And now you've got all the other types of projects. And we've got an election coming up, guys. What do you think is going to happen in an election? It'll be more government spending in that sector. I mean, everyone I talk to in construction is flat out. And I'm telling them, don't buy that jet ski. You don't know how long it's going to last. So we'll have to see. What do you think? Are you worried and concerned for the economy? Or are we just returning to normal with regards to some businesses turning over and the media's pumping it up? What do you reckon? Let me know your thoughts and opinions on that one in the comments down below. If you're a fan of the channel and enjoy the content I create here, there are a few ways you can support us. You can join us on YouTube or Patreon. Sign up for SelfWealth or Stake. Use our affiliate links at Amazon, eBay, Independent Reserve, or AussieBroadband. You can buy our merch from HeiseSays, use Gold Pass from the Perth Mint, or support us via PayPal. Take care. I'll see you all next time. Bye for now.